I wasn't planning on recording anything. I was just planning to, you know, if something bad happened Thursday, we would talk about it to begin the Friday video and then get into it. But I got to get some thoughts down. And you guys know I don't script my videos at all. It should be obvious by how they appear that there's no edit button. There's the ability to pause if I have to sneeze or something, or if I need to look something up and I don't want you guys to wait 30 seconds for me. But there's no edit button and there is no script. Nothing. There's some guidelines, but this is going to be even worse because I have no guideline. I have no outline. I have nothing. But I just want to talk about it because Seattle Mariners got fired on their day off. The Detroit Tigers beat the Tampa Bay Rays. The Kansas City Royals beat the Washington Nationals. And with those results, the Seattle Mariners have been eliminated from postseason contention. And of course, I'm not surprised. I'm a little surprised both teams were able to get sweeps. Sweeps are hard, but I'm not surprised the Seattle Mariners aren't going to the postseason. They didn't play well enough to. The best the Seattle Mariners can do is win 85 games. You really don't deserve to make the postseason if you're an 85-win team. No, that's not what should happen. Now, the extra wild card is going to make every once in a while an 84, 83-win team, maybe even an 82-win team make it as a wild card. We'll see division winners with that total because we still, in the year 2024, let geography determine postseason appearances. But wild card, you kind of figure more of that 85 to 90 win stuff. But with the extra one, we'll have a couple of years where we don't have that. And this appears to be one of those years. I imagine the Royals will win at least one of their games against Atlanta. I imagine that the Tigers will win 2 or 3, depending on what they need to do against Chicago. So we'll probably get a 90-win team that wins the first wild card, and then, Kansas City, Detroit, somewhere between 86 and 88 wins. It doesn't matter. But my overall point is that you don't deserve to make the postseason at 85 wins. Not even a little bit. And I'm also not surprised because Kansas City has been a much more consistent baseball team. Detroit, not a more consistent team, but red hot to end the year, getting hot at the absolute right time, taking advantage of the bottom dwellers of the baseball. Seattle didn't do that. They beat up the White Sox, but they didn't beat up the Angels, didn't beat up the Athletics enough. So I'm not surprised. But there's a difference between surprise and anger. And even if I was expecting this to happen, I'm still angry. I'm still angry for the reasons that I talked about all year. That you were going to waste this rotation. And they did just that. They did just that. They were such a bad offensive team that it didn't matter that the Seattle Mariners had one of the best rotations in baseball, maybe the most complete rotation in baseball. And it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing for 2024. And I'm mad. I'm mad. And I think the reason I'm mad is not just because this year means nothing now. It's over. Well, I'll still recap all 3 games, but, there's no excitement towards that. I'm still going to do it because I promised you I would do it. And I will promise you that I'll do it all again next year too. It's what I promised, and it's what I'm going to do. It's not like it's a hard thing to do. I get on here, I hit record, and I tell you my feelings about a Mariner game. But even these meaningless games, and they are ever so meaningless, I will recap them. Heck, you could argue that the Mariners should lose their next 3 for the betterment of the long term of the team. Now, I am not asking the Mariners to do that and lose on purpose because I think being competitive is important to an extent, but it could be better for the Mariners in the long term because you are Boston and at like St. Louis, Chicago, San Francisco, all within striking distance of being in that same draft spot for you. And with a lottery now, that means even more. By the way, Chicago White Sox, the most games that they can win is 42, and the highest they can pick, excuse me, the highest they can pick is 10th. They will pick 10th. Weird. That's just the way the CBA works now. But Chicago White Sox could go 38 and 124 and pick 10th. But you could argue anyway that the Seattle Mariners, for the long term, it's better for them not to win these games. I'm still going to recap them. But I am angry. I am angry that I'm angry about 2024, but I'm mostly angry about the fact that the Seattle Mariners are owned by a man and in kind of a group that thinks this is good enough. And I'm more than angry about that, in fact. I'm more than angry about the fact that this guy, John Stanton, is okay with this. John Stanton is okay with a team that is going to miss the postseason for the 23rd out of 24 times. It could be 22 out of 23. I always get that math wrong since 2001. But here's the math that I can guarantee you is right. They've never won a World Series. They've never been to a World Series. They've yet to win the division since 2001. They have yet to win a postseason game in the actual playoff format, not the gosh damn wild card round, which, look, I had a blast winning those games, but that's not the playoffs. That's the get in. That is the get in. And since 2001, the Mariners have 0 wins in the division series or later. Not a one. They've played 1 playoff home game since the end of 2001. 1. They scored 0 runs in that game in 18 innings. And the Seattle Mariner ownership group thinks that's good enough. And here's what I'm going to do. It's not going to get to him, and I understand that. I'm pleading with John Stanton to do what's best for the community, to do what's best for the city of Seattle, to do what's best for the Seattle Mariner organization, and sell the team. You are going to make a huge profit, a massive profit. But you don't deserve to own a Major League Baseball team if this is good enough for you. If where you are payroll commitment wise and where they are in terms of standings year after year after year is good enough for you, you don't deserve to own a Major League Baseball team. If you think this front office is doing a good enough job, if you think this is what your ultimate goal is, and you've shown me nothing to prove it's not, you shouldn't own a Major League Baseball team. You do not get that privilege. And I know you're not going to, because you're making money. How's that phrase go? Hand over fist, whatever. You are making too much money to actually sell the team. And you are in a perfect scenario because, let's be honest, there are a lot of Mariner fans that feel like I do. There are a lot of Mariner fans that don't. There are a lot of Mariner fans who are good and are okay with this, who are okay with going to the ballpark and watching every game, knowing that being competitive is ultimately good enough because they've never known anything better. Why should they? So you're not going to sell the team. And from a financial perspective, you shouldn't sell the team. But I am asking you, John Stanton, to do what's best for the community of Seattle and sell the Seattle Mariners. Because unless you do, the Seattle Mariners are never going to be competitive for world championships. And that's ultimately the goal. The goal is not 54%. And I know everybody gives Jerry Dipoto crap for that comment, and they should. It was a horrible comment. It was disgusting. If you think that that's not how John Stanton is feeling, in fact, if you think that's not implanted in the brain from Dipoto from how John Stanton owns this team, you're crazy. You are absolutely insane. And that's not to make an excuse. I personally would not let Jerry Dipoto continue as the president of baseball operations. I would not have him be Pobo Dipoto. I promise you, I will do a long video on why I think Justin Hollander should be the person in charge. I will do that at some point. It'll probably be for my paid subscribers, but I will. And I still think that's the case. But I don't believe that Jerry Dipoto should be the person in charge. And the fact that Jerry Dipoto gets to stay in charge is just more evidence of how this ownership group feels. He is the perfect placeholder. He satiates, he placates. And I don't know if Jerry Dipoto could do a better job if he had a higher payroll. I'd love to find out. I'd love to find out. But this isn't about Jerry Dipoto. Not today. Today's about John Stanton, the owner of the Seattle Mariners, who's been here for long enough for this to should be getting to him, and it's not. Because if it was getting to him, we would have a press conference in 30 minutes. Maybe should have already happened. Saying that, you know what? We didn't make the postseason. Jerry Dipoto's not coming back. But that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. He's making too much money. And what Jerry Dipoto is just good enough. In fact, not just good enough, plenty good enough for what John Stanton is looking for. And that is to turn a tidy profit. If they win, that's a wonderful, happy, and I hate using this word, accident. This isn't good enough. Yes, the players have to play better. Yes, Scott Service should have done a better job. Yes, Dan Wilson should have done a better job. Look at their record in one-run games with Dan Wilson. It's gross. All of that true. But I ultimately go with the head. And the head is the ownership of the Seattle Mariners. And they are not good enough. And I don't think they ever will be good enough. I'm so sad. And I talk about her all the time, but I'm going to go back to I'm so pissed off that my grandma's not going to get to watch postseason baseball again. The biggest Seattle Mariner fan, the lady who calls me every day to check what time the Mariner game is, the lady who makes sure it's not on Apple TV so she can watch it. Oh, those Apple TV games. I know a lot of people love them. I hate them because of the fact that my grandma can't watch. The biggest fan in the world. And 54% is good enough for them. Didn't even get to 54% this year. Sucks. But again, John, if you're watching this and you just skipped to the end, I'm pleading with you to either make drastic changes on how you operate the baseball team or to sell it. You will make so much money. You may make less money than owning the team does. I'm not an accountant, but I know how profitable the Mariners are based on how sports works and how economics works. I know you make a lot of money. Go get that lump sum and do whatever the heck it is you want to do with the rest of your life. Heck, you're already doing it because you're a theoretical billionaire. But one of the two has got to happen. And here's what I'll say to end this video. I'm not going to ask anyone to boycott the Seattle Mariners because number one, I think asking people to take away something they love, even in spite of the ownership group, is bad. It's important that you like things. It's important that you keep things in your life that you love. But I'll say this. Pressure makes diamonds. And anyone Oh, the other reason, by the way, to not boycott them is because I need you to watch my videos. Extremely selfish, I know. But those who do boycott, or those who are thinking about it, I will point out that pressure does make diamonds. And the only way you can truly send a message to this ownership group is with your pocketbook, because that's all they care about. Your gosh damn pocketbook.